Hello, and everyone, welcome to Anfield Road TV. It's me, Kev, and Nigel, of course, tonight. But this is, I want to get Kev. a lot more interaction with you as well, everyone. So if you want to jump on, you're very welcome to. Let us know your thoughts on Allister. You want to speak about Messi, Jude, whatever, really, as long as it's relation to Liverpool or a bit about football as well. You're very welcome to jump on. Obviously, if you're not aware of StreamYard, you either click the link, takes you straight into the studio, and we'll add you as long as you've got a camera and audio and that. And if needs be, if you're on Apple devices, make sure you do copy that hyperlink and then put it into, obviously, your web browser hyperlink, and it'll take you into the studio as well. But big up Chat, big up Kev, big up. We'll get the two lads' thoughts as well, but big up Chat as well. Absolute legends. But Kev, first initial thoughts on getting Mackin in the door?
It's good to see him back in his old age. I didn't think he was still playing, but
Mackin's dad looks like an absolute full-on Scouse dad. Have you seen him?
No, he's Irish. They're from Bate. Yeah, down a Bate, isn't it?
Paddy Mac, the Spud man.
Yeah, I didn't know. His dad is from Danabate. Then moved over in the war, and then had he's a fellow you'd see. He's definitely groundskeeping in some hurling football club in the middle of nowhere in Ireland, like, you know what I mean? Isn't he? I
was sure I saw him at the Kenny thing the other night.
Yeah.
There's a guy there who looked exactly like him.
Yeah, he's like a man out of he appeared in Wonder Woman as well. That Irish actor with the posh accent. He's always in a load of stuff. But he's I forget his name, but he shows up in a couple of gangster movies every so often. But he's like one of these genius smart guys, but he's gingerish and kind of But anyway, Carlos looks like he could like work the ground well, couldn't he?
Yeah, it'd be sound. It'd be good. But Nigel, happy mate. It's the start of hopefully things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Mentioned it to you earlier on. Mentioned it just before we came on. It's evolution. It's the start of an evolution, I hope. He's the genie replacement that we've been waiting 3 years for, I think.
Yeah. Would you say, Nigel, I was thinking this before I come on here, Coutinho? I know, obviously, McAllister's got more to his game anyway, but I know we've evolved massively, and obviously we got Allister but even my mum said, it was my mum that mentioned, she said, is he like Coutinho? And it was like certain elements of his game. But I think we've always, even in the recent years when we've been playing well, we've missed a player inside, in and around the box that can just whack one, really, and just a final ball.
Oh, sorry.
I think, sorry. No, I think when it comes to a point, we actually miss Genie more than we miss Coutinho when he wasn't there.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
Well, that's what I think we're getting more. I think he's more of a ball player. That's not a great. He's more of a player who can defend a little bit more as well as use the ball and use his. He mightn't be the quickest player in the world. Coutinho was quick, like.
But I'd actually compare him more to Modric on the ball rather than Coutinho. I know Modric is small and McAllister's a bit bigger than him, but I'd compare him more to how he would control the game and how he would receive the ball and pass it off. He's got the passion. If the one thing he will take from Coutinho's game is his passing range, and the same.
Second name on the list there, lads. Gundogan.
Yeah. I do keep on bringing this up anyway, but I think it's right there. Carry on, Kev. Yeah, you look at that list in terms of comparing, in terms of the statistics.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I love Eze. I think everyone does. If you've watched a couple of games of Palace this season, mate. But yeah, it's we're going to be discussing as well tonight, chat. As I said,
I can also see who you like in that list, Jack.
Oh, who is it? Oh yeah. Hopefully, I haven't left me web it out.
First name Nico.
Yeah, just Nico there. I am constantly just.
When somebody sees like it's like a browser search history, when you leave your browser search history open, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, how did that appear on my browser search history? And you're like, I was never on that, and then you see it's purple, and you're like,
predictive text. Predictive text now, is it?
Yeah, when you type it in and something pops up with a predictive text, and they say, oh, what was that, chat? Sorry about that. There, that popped up. But then you realise it's in purple, and he was like, he's definitely on that.
Yeah.
Not you, but just in general.
I, for the last 2 years, have drove the traffic of Inter Milan's website through the roof anyway.
Yeah.
The advertising revenue's gone through the roof. Just been clicking on Barella's profile. We're going to be speaking, obviously, as I said, the link is in the description chat. So if you want to pop on, say, have your little 2 pence as well, you're very welcome, as always. We'll have a little look. I'll ask the lads as well in terms of formation-wise. I glossed over this, but I want to get Kev's thoughts. I want to get your thoughts as well, chat. Most importantly, we'll speak about Kone. We'll speak about Foran. We'll speak about Gabriel Vega as well. But obviously, Luke's going to pop in as well. All right, fella. Luke, how are we, lad? Looks like he's had a fresh trim as well, lad.
Oh, that was the other day. Oh,
yeah.
I've just come back from the gym. I just had a nice shower and I've just come back from the gym and I feel fresh, man.
You haven't had a chippy, have you, after it?
No, not yet. I've got KFC later.
Oh,
no, I'm joking. That was yesterday.
Go to the gym and then getting a KF. You can treat yourself, lads. How are we, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Obviously, still obviously happy about the signing this morning. Obviously, I spoke to Nigel earlier today. It was really good business from Liverpool and hopefully many more to come. Reports of Thuram and Kone, they're in talks. So let's see what happens over the next few days.
Yeah, definitely, miss. Obviously, we'll speak about, in terms of here in Scotland, like Doak in a different position. Mark, yeah, well, I wish Doak was here because obviously he watched a lot more Scotland than us. But he's a young lad. Well, I'll ask you, Luke, as you just come in, obviously to get straight to the point in terms of Mark's comments. Do you potentially see him, Liverpool, if we can get the right players in this summer? Potentially, you look at Carvalho, you look at Doak, players on the fringes, really. Where do you foresee Doak? Do you reckon we'll do what we done with Harvey Elliott 2 years ago when we loaned him out to Blackburn? And I think that really helped him massively in terms of his development.
It's an interesting one, mate. There's a lot of people that I've seen on social media that they might obviously keep him for the season. He dominantly plays on the right-hand side. So we've always had the debate about, when there's AFCON in January. So if Egypt qualify, then we need to fill the spaces. So maybe he may get some game time, maybe in the cup competitions, and maybe in the Europa League as well. You might see him a little bit. But yeah, I think that's a good point what you've made. I think what they've done with Elliott, I think they sent him on loan to Blackburn, and he was one of their best players in that season. I think he was the top assist in the league the whole season. So it would definitely benefit the player long term. And it also, for me, I think with Ben Doak, it's definitely something that you look at Carvalho, that maybe he could be on his way out on loan, or potentially Liverpool could let him go. So I can't see both of them going in the same window. So I generally think with him, I think it just depends with Carvalho at the moment. I think if Carvalho goes, I think Doak will stay. I think if he doesn't go, then it might be the other way around. I think there could be a loan. But I'd like to see more of him. I think we see him, was it Boxing Day against Villa? And the first thing he done, he turned Luca Digne. That was fantastic. Yeah, Luca Digne was fantastic. So, I'd like to see him a bit more, maybe in the Europa League games or maybe the League Cup games. But I personally believe it just depends on the Carvalho situation.
Yeah, Nigel, Europa League next season, as Luke's alluded to, I think we've spoke about this off camera, all of us. Do we foresee that competition? How do you reckon Klopp will approach the Europa League this season? Do you think he'll go full strength, or do you think he'll try his best to prioritise or the Premier League, or do you reckon it just depends on how Liverpool's season is going in terms of the first couple of weeks?
A bit of everything, maybe. I think he might. It depends on who we draw, and it depends on what formation or what sequence the games are going to be in. Say if we get a weaker team first, maybe you may play somebody like Ben Doak. What the positional switch is, maybe if they play like one up front or two up front and him slotting in behind rather than being out on the wing as more of a kind of a number 10, a playmaker sitting in behind, and then try and run with the ball and try and create space. He might do that.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on how the sequence of games is. If we play a weaker team first, he might try and play some of the young lads or put them on. It will definitely depend on how we're going in the league. As to what team he's going to play. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Chat, let us know your thoughts in terms of the Europa League conference. Europa League, bloody hell. I was thinking about bloody West Ham. Well done, West Ham. No, the West Ham lads will be very much still celebrating into the night this weekend. And so they should. 58 years since they last won a bloody trophy. So let them enjoy it. Kev, would you add anything to that, mate? Or
no, I mean, I just want to see. I'd like to see the lads doing well. The young lads, but I mean, Blackburn's probably a good spot for Doak to go to, and I think that whatever about some of I mean, they're going to get the best experience. There's not going to be much game time from. Bajcetic will see some game time. I don't know about Martin again. If we're bringing in all these midfielders, I can't see him getting much game time, to be honest with you. But I Curtis Jones is going to see game time more than him. So I there's no point in these lads staying. They're better off just going off for a second year loan experience and getting the best out of them in the championship or something like that.
There's going to be opportunities though, Kev. Surely, like,
there'll be some opportunities.
Like we've got to look at it. You look at Luton, like a team, like they'll need recruitment. So don't get me wrong. Obviously, Tyler Morton's not going to boss it in the Prem, but you're looking at a squad like that. They've got marvelous Mwamba. I don't know if you signed him on a full transfer from Aston Villa, but I'd look at a Luton, like a team that's not got a lot of Premier League experience, but yet they might get battered every week. But at the end of the day, I feel, and Charlotte has no thoughts, or I'll chip in after Kev, is they'll learn so much more from that. They'll learn more in that environment than they would if you were, say, like in a winning team that was winning every single game and giving the youth. They
needed knockbacks. That's why I was thinking of Blackburn. I mean, how many times have we seen Blackburn in the playoffs and then they end up in 8th or 9th or something like that and they don't get in there? It's just, it's perfect for them. But you're right in saying Luton, but I think once teams come up into the Premiership like they do, and Premiership, I haven't said that in years, and when they come up into the Premier League like they do, they tend to spend that, 110, 115 million that they get from the TV rights money and stuff like that. They tend to just go and spend it, and then you don't see much game time for young lads. Older lads, that are, like you see the likes of a James Milner or something like that going to these teams. I don't know, but I'd like to see him playing in the Premier League. I'd like to see him given every opportunity. Luton would be perfect for him just because of the size of the club, and it's his first time up. So, maybe. But for reality, for one or two of those players, they're probably going to end up in a Blackburn or a Middlesbrough or something like that.
You just got to look at. I mean, just as Spider saying, you just got to look at Nottingham Forest. Obviously, they got promoted last season. They signed so many players. And they signed some big name players. I mean, Jesse Lingard, for example. I know he obviously didn't play too much, but that's the thing. I think if you're gonna, I think the risk is always with the bigger clubs. Like if they're gonna loan out their players to, the newly promoted sides, then obviously they're gonna try and readjust their setup a little bit for that season. And as Spider said, and I agree, they're gonna spend the amount of money that they're gonna get, because even if they do get relegated, they're gonna be covered with parachute payments, for example. So it's a bit of a challenge, but for me, Blackburn's the perfect one at the moment. Last 2 or 3 years, they've been knocking on that door for sort of playoffs, and then they just fall short. And the level, like the championship level, every season's getting so much better. And as we had with Elliot, was it 2 years ago? He was just fantastic in that Blackburn side, and he's just come into this Liverpool team, and he's given us this little breath of fresh air sort of within our squad.
And it massively depends on if Liverpool can get the right bodies and the right quality. I'd even not say that'd be top of my priority list, but if the opportunity presented itself, could you imagine if Liverpool brought in the correct amount of bodies and quality in, that we were able to loan, say, a Harvey Elliott to a Brighton or a more team outside the top 6, top 7, but someone that is guaranteed game time? For me, that would elevate his development, because would you say, Nigel, Elliott's, for me, a look of Elliott, he's still a year behind due to that injury in which he did suffer. For me, I still think that would massively help.
Possibly. And maybe someone like a Joe Gomez as well. Try and get him some game time, because he had a couple of really bad injuries from a couple of really bad tackles. I think there were a couple of fractures or something like that, and he really hasn't looked great over the last few months, and maybe a loan deal to somebody like mid-table. We'll say
Aston Villa would bloody snap
Yeah.
you out. Like
Yeah,
say a
yeah.
loan with an option to buy. Like if he plays we've seen a lot of teams in Europe like this. Was it Moise Keane?
Got a good relationship with Brighton at the moment. I mean, Brighton are looking for a central defender because Colwill doesn't look like it could happen. So
yeah,
that's an option. And the thing is as well with Liverpool, they'll know with someone like Joe Gomez is if they did decide to loan him out, then he would want to play at a high level, which is obviously a bit different compared to the younger players. But I don't know. I think with Gomez, I think they may look to sell. To be honest, I think there's one or two. If Liverpool are looking for a centre half this summer, I think either Gomez or Matip will go, and I think Gomez is the more profitable one out of the two. But I agree with what Nigel's saying. I mean, if they do decide to loan him out, it's got to be at a level where you get the drift, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, you spot on there, lads, and even Luke. Yeah, as you mentioned, Caldwell. I'll tell you what, if Liverpool are seeing bids left, right, and centre get rejected by Chelsea of like 50, north of 50 million, Liverpool wouldn't obviously openly advertise Gomez on the market, but they'll probably give Brighton a little nudge and go, if you're bidding 50 odd million, here's Joey Gomez if you want, and he's available and he's a Premier League winner. And it was you jump in the queue there, Kevin.
That's why we sent Agent Lallana over there. Did you see Lallana's tweet what he said about McAllister?
Was it Jimmy Milner's going to get him in a headlock and be like, yeah, you'll come with me, lad. It's like I say, where are we going, lad? Going Scousland, lad. We've never been. Where is it? But hopefully, but big up there, and to wrap through all these comments as well. We've got a lot of sections. I'm going to speak about Caicedo, assure many replacements, who that could be for you. Charles, let us know, because I still feel Liverpool haven't gone out and bought the Tchouameni replacement, the Fabinho long-term replacements anyway. So that's still up for debate, that for me personally. Well, big up there, Anthony, you said. I see the likes of Mbaye, Moore and Douak be given a chance, especially in the group stages as well. Definitely, mate. Big up there. I think Ricky, the link's there, but you just can't be asked.
I did say to him in the comments that, I know, he's like, busy.
Busy going.
I think the kids will play in the League Cup more than likely, lads. Not in the Europa League.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that'll be. I think he'll be more concentrated on the Europa League than the League Cup. This is where the League Cup is where the kids will play.
It's mad that, isn't it, boys? Because you spot on there, Nigel. Because Liverpool, would you say, Kev, only in the last 2 years have only really taken it really serious? Would you say?
The domestic cups?
The League Cup and the FA Cup and all.
But they have, I mean, but Klopp. This is the thing we're talking about. Injuries and the length of the season alone last season caused everything that happened. The previous season to happen this season just gone. Because without that backup, remember, we could put our second and third string squad out and they played just as good as the first string at points there over the last 3 or 4 seasons. But because a couple of them moved on, if a lot of them had injuries, and the main squad had injuries, we felt the pinch of it. But we did start taking these competitions seriously. But I go into hindsight. Look, Klopp is a massive factor in what happens with this club. If all the naysayers that wanted Klopp out got their wish, I guarantee you there'd be no Alexis McAllister walking that door yesterday. Yeah. Not a hope in hell. No way, no how he will go to a team that has a trial manager in these competitions in Europe and all of that, and they'll go to a rival club because it's just not the right time for them. Yeah, a couple of seasons down the line they would have come back to us, but if Klopp still wasn't there and all these naysayers had what they wished, which is Klopp out, then Alexis McAllister wouldn't be walking in the door because they want to play for Klopp. This guy Vega that's been talking recently in an interview, and he's been saying that whether obviously if there's a choice between us and City, he's going to go to City because of the ties that he has there. But he said that nobody. There's a load of. He's been. What do you mean?
Quotes. I was going to say.
No, it's not quotes. No, it's just been saying in different. He's been asked questions and people have been relaying the quotes. So if we're going by what it's all say, me, I don't go by hearsay or anything. I'm saying if this hearsay is what is right, then people want to play on the Klopp. But about Liverpool Football Club, it's his biggest pull out of all of them. But you need Liverpool Football Club has always been a pull to any player down through the years. But then we had Steven Gerrard and one or two probably good players that ever came to the club in a number of years. While the top quality ones went to Chelsea and United and even Arsenal had them for a while. We didn't get that for a long time because we didn't have the right managers or the stability or the right ownerships or the right backing. Now there's a stable board and whatever we think about FSG and whoever we want them in or out, the club is stable, it's profitable, and we now have a manager that's been there for 6 or 7 years coming up this stage. And it's a manager that everybody wants to play for. And this is the reason why people are still coming to us when we're in the Europa League and not the Champions League. And, and United are in the Champions League, yet Alexis McAllister chooses us over them. What does that tell you about the pull of the club and the manager and the team,
They're in there though, Kev, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they'll never win it.
Yeah.
They'll never win it.
Oh, no, I guarantee you we'll meet United in the Europa League this next season coming and we'll knock them out. Again.
I think there's like, is it 4 of them now that have rejected Man United in the last couple of years? Like Darwin,
Firmino,
Gakpo, McAllister. I'm sure there's another one.
I can't wait for Timber to sign for us.
Klopp himself refused. United because it's going to Liverpool.
And this has been you'd say 8 to 9 year cycle. It's. I haven't seen many. The only one that you could hear of with hearsay, the only one you could hear of is probably Mason Mount. That's actually sort of turned down Liverpool and sort of chosen towards United. But I don't know if there's any other players that I can think of.
I don't even think we actually went for Mason Mount.
I think there was maybe some form of interest, but I don't think Liverpool have actually approached. Like
no. I think they asked the money. They knew about it.
I think the money. That's why I think. I think Liverpool were maybe interested, but then when they saw the price tag, no.
That's got nothing to do with. He didn't choose anybody over anybody. The difference is that United wanted McAllister and he turned them down, and that's the difference. Just the same as we wanted Bellingham, and even though the money was there, at the end of the day, he probably turned us down as well to go for Real Madrid just for now.
They've always done that though, Kevin. They've been lobbing, was it £300,000 contracts at one matter when he signed for them, and likes
Alexis Sanchez,
Mkhitaryan. Everyone forgets he went to the football club as well. There's whole list is on there.
Somebody said about Darwin Núñez when I see a lot of United fans posting on these places on Facebook, and I think I did turn on that says like, oh, I can't believe this. The Moses, as they call us, spent 100 million on Darwin Núñez, and then I have to correct them by saying it's only 64 million. There's no other money goes anywhere else unless we win titles and trophies and leagues and stuff like that. And then I goes. And then
I've seen you waving at my mum's comment. Careful.
Is that your mum?
It's my mother. Hello, mum.
Hello. I'll see you soon.
Hello, Luke's mum. Hi. The only difference, Les, no offense to Les, but it's saying weird. What are you saying? Be careful looking at your mum. What are you saying, Duke? Are you saying that Jack
it was about a couple of weeks ago. Jack done a short, and then my mum put a comment on there. And then Jack replied and everything, and then he gave me a message. Oh look, I got your mum in the comments and all that. I was like, oh yeah, careful, mate.
Just like you're seeing my ma, Brenda.
Yes. Oh, sorry, that was me. Or was it?
A little pointer there about 2 seasons ago when we won the 2 cups. Who was our top scorer in both competitions?
Taki
Minamino. Exactly. They're all about squad players.
But what I was saying about the thing with Núñez is that you look at the 80 million that they spent on Anthony, and you look at the money that was already spent pre-TV rights money, by the way, for Martial, which is 37.5 million, which is the equivalent to 68 million pounds now, right, in the TV as the market changed. So you're looking at a combined total of 150 million for the 2 players over a 64 million Darwin Núñez. Yet they scored 7 goals between the 2 of them from the wings, and he scored 15 goals. So I don't see where this flop status comes from when they buy somebody from Ajax for 80 million. It just makes he's been
Sancho's been absolutely terrible.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Sancho. Jesus. Yeah, I forgot about him. I didn't even think of him.
There was a stat. There was a stat with Jota. I think it was 2 goals against Southampton. He's got more goals, or I think it's more goals, or it's more goal contributions, but I'm sure it's goals than both Sancho and Anthony all season.
Yeah.
And Jota was out for what, 3-4 months?
5. Yep. No, almost 5 months in total by the time he was fully back scoring.
There's just levels to this game in the Premier League, and just goes to show how poor the recruitment has been from United. Like, they're still trapped in this notion. Yes, they're a massive football club, But whoever's on there, they're making absolute bank in whoever's advising their like technical staff in terms of the recruitment. But yeah, we'll continue reveling in their misery, because we'll be above them next season anyway. So it'll be long. Let them enjoy them. Like
they didn't improve the season. Let's just to let you know they haven't. They're 13 points behind what they were last season.
Was it also the season when Man City finished on 100 points? Like when Allister was it a few years ago, we finished 5 points off them, and
we had no centre halves.
We had no centre halves for the second half of the season.
That was 4 points. 4 points off.
Yeah, and they finished, they second, and then the following season they were at the top 4, and obviously we were challenging again. So
but that same time that they finished second and nobody else challenged them, they still finished 22 points behind City.
Yeah.
So that league was over long before that, So,
sod United, sod them anyway. Nigel, I'll let you answer this question for Mans. Nice one for the question, Maz. It's an interesting talking point because us lads off camera, I think everyone spoke about when you've been speaking to your mates or relatives about Reds. His contract's running out next year. I done a video a long time ago, was it last year, analysing all these contracts in terms of Liverpool don't want to be left in a predicament where we're losing a player of Thiago's quality, of course, his injury record, but in terms of an asset, you can get probably 5, 10, a little bit more million in this window. Just let us know your thoughts on Ant's question there, Miss.
I think that we don't sell him. I think if we do get those 2 kids, his experience might be invaluable to driving them on to another level. And he might be worth hanging on to for another season. Yeah. I just think it could propel them on training with Thiago.
His wages alone will keep him at that level because they're not that high at all.
Is he
Thiago?
Is Thiago the third highest paid player at the club?
Yeah, he's on pure.
I think it's Salah, then it's Van Dijk, and then I think it's Thiago.
For the extra season, though, they've already done the capital for that. There's no point in freeing up that money if we're already got the funds available for these other guys coming in.
Yeah.
Plus, you're not going to get much money for him, and as Nigel said, his experience will be good. Plus, he'll play competition. We need experience in cup competitions, and I think he'll be perfect coming for cup competitions and play.
I think that's where it balances out, though, isn't it? I think with 1 year left on his deal, I still think Liverpool, from a club abroad, can still maybe push around 10 million. But I think it's. I agree with Nigel to an extent. It's even if we get the 2 players in, Thuram and Kone, obviously he'll be valuable experience for them, and obviously for the Europa League and even in the Premier League games, you're gonna want someone like Thiago in the squad. Like, how many times have we watched Liverpool when he's on the bench and gone, we've got half an hour to go, we need to break the lines, we need to get a goal, we'll get Thiago on the pitch, and that's something that we can still have. But on the flip side of it, this is injuries, this is unavailability.
Would you say McAllister could potentially be his bit of respite? In terms of, you look at both players, the very technical players, and both of them play down that left-hand side. They're in the midfield 3. Would you say, Miss? Do you think both of them would benefit each other?
Maybe, but I mean, I think with McAllister, I think it's definitely a longer-term thing. So maybe Klopp might choose not to have him as much with Thiago in the team. You might see next season. I mean, maybe you could be right. I mean, obviously, Thiago next season could play a lot more games and could stay fit. We don't know. Hopefully, he does. But I don't know. I generally think with next season, even though I think we will get back into the top 4 at least as a minimum, I just feel next year it's still a kind of a rebuild a little bit. Like, we need to really have that system in place for the whole season. We've got the exact players that we play in sort of week in, week out. But the problem is we know Klopp likes to rotate the midfield. That's why we're going to have 8, maybe 9 midfield players in at the squad around this season. So, yeah, tough one. But I generally feel with McAllister, they may avoid at times to have those 2 together because of the longer term project.
With the Thiago situation, I can't see him going anywhere else except for maybe Saudi Arabia when he's finished or the MLS. So unless they come in from and say, right, we'll pay you to keep him an extra year so we can get him on a free or something like that. And, there's all these little deals that go on in the sides and stuff for these things. So, yeah, he can end up in there.
Yeah, probably, it just depends. Like we've seen, we'll speak about Messi a bit later at the back end of the show. Obviously, his missus, the thing is, Messi's going to be going to the MLS chat. And the Americans won't have a clue who Messi is. Obviously, you'll get quite a lot of them. Of course, Messi's massive around the world, but yeah, Messi won't be getting pestered like he would be, say, if he turned up in England, everyone, it'd be a household name. But America's that big, and it's the country's so massive in itself. They're more interested about NFL or baseball and all that. Messi and his family will very much get that much needed respite because, as we know, Messi's just a phenomenon. Like everyone on planet Earth knows who he is, and he can't really barely. You look at it when he went back to Argentina. Of course, every Argentinian player got absolutely swamped. Even McAllister. It was like, I seen McAllister's quote a couple of weeks after winning the World Cup. He was like, 5 months ago, I could go through the Argentinian airport and not get bothered, probably get bothered by 1 or 2 players. But now he's a superstar. Now he'll go through that exact same airport, his quotes, and he was saying, yeah, I can't do that no more. Hence, and a lot of them, they've got the key of Argentina, all of them, that squad. Go ahead, Nigel.
Is Phil Neville still in Miami?
Oh, no, he's got...
No, they sacked him.
Could you imagine Phil Neville in charge of a...
They sacked him last week, didn't they?
I was just going to say, how long before Messi kills Phil Neville?
Oh, have you seen it? But apparently the captain's, was it DeAndre Yedlin, the old Spurs player?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think one of David Beckham's I think it's his nephew or his son or that. I can't remember what it is. I think it's someone, but I think there's someone within the team as well. But it's I mean they're rock bottom, aren't they? Like they're absolutely terrible. Like I see their league table, they're shocking. But I mean, just having Messi around. I mean, could you? I mean, I'm not being funny. Like the after each game, I think his own players are going to be like Robin, who like, can I have his shirt this week? I think that's just what it's going to be like. Well, it'll be the away team as well, but at the same time, it'll be his own team going, no, it's my turn this week. I want his shirt. I mean, it's going to be brilliant to see, though, isn't it? I mean, to see Messi in the MLS, it will be fantastic.
My man will be banging 100 goals in every single season, Kev, won't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, usually. I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was scoring him for fun over there. Yeah. Messi will just take it. Like, there's nobody going to catch. Like, Messi at his weakest ever in his career is still 40 times the player that anybody in the MLS left, So the old players or young players that are, passing it to the older players so much because they just want to be their buddies. That, that's what it seems like to me anyway, anytime I'm watching it. There's a couple of guys out there that don't have good reputations, but the rest do. I think I remember what I mentioned it a few weeks ago there about your man Chiellini calling some fella a clown in the interview. Who is that guy? Everybody kind of hates him at the moment. What was his name?
Oh, it was a Chiellini.
I think he's at Alexis or something like that, but Chiellini was in there.
You mentioned Chiellini. I can just imagine, if you haven't seen it, the gif of him getting his tongue out, just doing
it's the history of Tottenham.
Just rip it off them anyway. But swiftly moving on, big up. Check it out anyway. It's funny, Kev. I'll have to send you it. But yeah, Bacetic could share the loads. Big up there. Monsif, thank you for tuning in, mate. Great to see some new names. Make sure you head over and subscribe over there and subscribe to 1892 Reds TV and, of course, Kevin Spider LFC as well. Bacetic could share the load with Thiago and Lane at the same time from him. Hopefully that is the case, mate. Fixtures out the week today, lads, or once. It's always something positive to look forward to, lads, in it, that, in all honesty. But yeah, we'll keep rattle through these. Jack can't leave his far from it, lads. Just get pestered by me, man, and there we go.
I found what it was.
Oh, you found?
Ricky Puig celebrated a goal like Lionel Messi in the way he went on or something like that, and Chiellini's walking out with his hands in his pockets, looks toward him, taking an interview, and just goes clown, and then walks away. But he said it in Spanish, but it was funny to watch.
There we go. But chat swiftly moving on anyway, as we said. We spoke about Gary, our new Mackett anyway tonight. I've already had a scrap with someone in the TikTok comments today going, why you already call it? I think he must have been a Manchester United fan or a Chelsea fan. He's trying to downplay it because it was definitely not a Liverpool fan. Because I tell you, even if you, whatever you think, every Liverpool fan's getting behind Mackett anyway. And it's like, yes.
I've had a few in the comments today on Facebook saying it to me about Mackett, but they're positively jealous. So I don't know how to say that possibly. They were just kind of like, they're trying to be friendly, but say it as jealous as possible, saying, you did a good signing there. No, but some of them were absolutely obvious. They were kind of going, but I'm absolutely jealous. It might just literally in that kind of way. So some of them are not half bad, but you get the idiots online, probably never been to a game. So in their lives.
Right. But yeah, Kev, right, first we can chat. Let us know your thoughts. We're going to be moving into where we potentially foresee McAllister playing in terms of formation wise.
Right.
I touched on it today in terms of the video done earlier on. Obviously, we've seen McAllister playing a 4-3-3 for Argentina in the World Cup. That was the lineup that he did play on the left-hand side against France. He's played in a 4-4-2 formation on the left midfield role for Argentina in the tournament as well. Where do you potentially foresee McAllister being utilised in chat as well?
With most Jurgen Klopp teams, only the only absolutes you get are the wing backs. You know, everybody else kind of and the centre backs. He doesn't really change much for that. But with regards to midfield, I know Fabinho kind of sits there. He's probably a bit of absolute as well. But everybody else seems to move around, and no matter where, regardless of where he starts, he'll move into place where there's free space and position. So, and he'll pick that up. And if that means he tells somebody else, like, he needs to take control in that midfield himself, and he needs to. I can foresee him just telling Trent, "Move off me here." I can see him turn around to whoever's on the right hand side. Just move that, make that run this way, so I can go that way. You're going to see a lot of dictate, because you could see him doing it on the pitch anyway when he was at Brighton. I mean, his English like spiked apparently when he was at Brighton, like, really well.
Well, of course, Brian midfield. We don't play him right back anyway, mate. We carry on that.
But yeah, no, look, he'll predominantly be probably shaped on the left hand side. Where does that leave Gakpo or a Nunez or a Jata? I don't know. I don't care. I'm just happy to have the options. Yeah. Is my thing, and that's the thing for me. I'd like to see Gakpo get utilised more on the left hand side of that midfield, whether it's a trio or a 4-2-3-1. I have this awful feeling that if we are going for a Kone, well, not awful feeling. I have this feeling that if we are going for Kone and Thuram, that we're going to start playing 4-2-3-1, and this is the reason why he's buying these type of players, because then he's going to utilise one deeper and one more just in front of him, but still keep that correction. And he's going to have Trent more on the right hand side, filling in that gap from the 4-2-3-1, so it turns into a 3-3-3-1. If you know what I mean, does we get that right? Yeah. So yeah, kind of way. So he'll utilise that, and I think that's probably a formation that's going to suit Trent invertedly going forward. So if you're talking Fabinho sitting alongside, I don't think Fabinho is going to be the one to sacrifice there. I think everybody else around that midfield is going to be sacrificed. I think Fabinho is going to see more game time, but with more help this time. Probably with Kone or Thuram sitting next to him, and I think they'll swap on the right hand side, and I think Trent being that extra bit on the triangle, and Fabinho being the base along with Robertson going up along the left hand side, with maybe a McAllister sitting in the middle of that trio, drifting back and forth with Gakpo. That'd be fantastic.
I'd agree.
Yeah,
go ahead, Nigel.
Could we try a 3-5? 3-5 wing backs.
Wing backs. So like three.
It's Trent into the right hand side of midfield, kind of push Robbo.
I think that's the point. I think that's why we were saying that Thuram and all of them are going to come, because I think the lads are going to be more further forward. I don't think you're going to see Robertson sitting that deep anymore in that trio at the back.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll get to that in a sec, Nigel. Going back to obviously what Kev just said there, mate, this is still another option. What I'd love to potentially see, and it's going to be interesting. Like, you put Nunez there, and then you'd have Cody Gakpo behind. I still think potentially McAllister, as we've seen already with that graph we looked at before, in terms that he can play that 6 role. Probably be a bit better than McAllister more.
As a sits, yeah.
So
if we get the 2 lads in that.
Yeah, so even if it's still great options, would you say, Nigel, with that? Like you still got.
I was going to say, with Diaz and Salah, even though Liverpool do like to play wide from in higher areas, I think they'll come inside a bit more. So I think I reckon there could be a lot of rotation between all 4 of them, not just Gakpo and Darwin. Like, if they played that formation, Salah's able to drift inside, Diaz is able to drift inside. Like, they're able to sort of move in and around each other. So I don't know if McAllister will be that deep, though, to be honest, Jack. I do think Liverpool might play him a bit more higher up the pitch, but I think it also does depend on exactly if Fabinho's obviously playing or Bajcetic is playing. Maybe Trent comes into that position that maybe push McAllister further up the pitch. Yeah, exactly my thinking.
So it's originally what I had in it in terms of the 3 back. Play with them
as a stand, because I mean that's only if Fabinho gets his time that Klopp was saying that he needs help and utilise more. But I think if Kone and Thuram come in, they'll just eventually just replace Fabinho in that midfield.
Like, Yeah, and as you said, Fabinho's done a job for about 2 to 3 years, doing 2 to 3 jobs at once. Like, he needs protection.
He does.
It's going to be so important. Sorry, there.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Luke in terms of that's what I was thinking. I've done my show today, chattlers. Now, this area of the pitch, we've been getting absolutely shagged, to say the least. Pardon my French. But we've been getting absolutely done down this right-hand transition. I was going to ask Luke, like, obviously, it'd be interesting to see where McAllister, if he plays there or if he plays on the left-hand side. Like, if Trent does go back to that inverted, obviously, 6 role, of course, as we've already seen this season, he does cover back in terms of transition. But if we are going to be playing there, Luke, I think whoever plays in that role, and of course that Fabinho, whether it's Fabinho or whoever, those 2 positions to me are so integral going into next season, mate.
I agree. I mean,
mainly that one.
I would say mainly the one behind. I think the one that we've really had a lot of joy in when we've played that sort of system, the last sort of 10 games, when Trent has gone into the more advanced position in midfield, we do get, all the time we get countered on our right-hand side. But the one key that we've got, which I think has been very good for us, is Konate. I think Konate plays on that side of the defence. I think you've seen it time and time again. And that sort of, as I said, the last 9-10 games, Konate is so important on that side. I don't, as much as they've been, great players for our other systems, I don't trust Matip in that situation. I don't trust Gomez in that situation. Van Dijk is clearly the side of Andy Robertson. He's always been for years. I think if Konate plays in that central defence and Trent decides to go forward, and then if we got that player, as you put there, like if it's McAllister or if it's Thuram or Kone, if we get one of those, or if it's Harvey Elliott, for example, or Curtis Jones, I think it's definitely important as well. Like, even when we lose the ball, if we're in transition, defensively, we need that right person there. And I think Konate is so key to that system.
Yeah. Kev, you've mentioned this season a couple of times when we've done our shows, Cody, potentially in a midfield role. And we've seen this already this season, especially the back end of the season. I think it was, I can't remember. Can you remember, lads, or chat?
Yeah. I've been saying it about 10 games in a row. I said, Cody, you'd be brilliant on that left-hand side.
Yep.
Yeah, so, like, even, because we've seen, what game can you remember, Kev, or chat? What game was it where he more an attacking midfielder, or like put him inside the midfield 3, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, he destroyed United coming from he destroyed United coming from midfield. But even before that, I'd seen glimpses of it for like 3 or 4 games before that. He's really good. Like, if you're going to be playing Nunez and you're going to be playing Diaz and you're going to be playing Salah, where's the room for Gakpo? It's got to be on that left hand side, which is why I'm thinking he's going to go, the 4-2-2 kind of route. What am I saying? If you're going to say 4-4-2, but with a square inverted 4-4-2, so 4-2-2-3. You want to go that way? So what am I saying? Sorry, my apologies. 3.
So many numbers.
I know. Yeah, I sound like Bowley here now.
You're not doing a top Bowley, are you?
I'm not doing a Foley.
4, 6, 7, 9.
Yeah, you're going to see more. You are going to see the 4, but I don't know. Look, I'm going by the fact that we get one of Kefren, Thuram, and what you call it. Then you can see the 3-2-2-3 roll, and as you got up there, but like whether he sticks with that same line, like he's going to have to try and make the money back for Nunez, coming into the team. So like he's going to have to prove his worth. Diaz coming back is going to be bled in. Salah is going to get his game time on that right hand side because nobody else can play there at the moment within the squad except for Harvey Elliott, but he hasn't been proven there. He's been proven at Blackburn, but he's never played there for us really. And Henderson's going to drop off. Thiago's probably not going to see too much game time. And is he going to trust Fabinho next season, or is he going to start resting him more at the start, or is he going to bleed other fellas in? For me, if he is bringing in Kone and Thuram, that's the end of anybody that was in the midfield this season. For me, I think that it's you're going to see Kone, Thuram, and McAllister in there somewhere, and then you're going to see rotations between Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, Nunez, and Salah up front. And Trent is going to do his thing. They're coming up in that role, but look, we can say if Fabinho does get game time in there a lot, which I'm hoping he does because he deserves it. And when he is on form, there's nobody better than him in the world. But he's dropped off massively. Yeah. I can see McAllister mostly playing on the left unless Gakpo's playing. Then it could be a 4-2-3-1 scenario, where Gakpo, McAllister, Salah there, and then maybe a Nunes or somebody like that up front. You can, as long as we can change the formation to 3 or 4 different formations within a system, and not just be stuck with 4-3-3, and then hopefully have a Henderson try and come back and play some sort of defensive 4-2-3, which is weird, 4-2-3 or 4, whatever it is, 4-3-4. That
confusing.
It's confusing.
All these numbers, you sound like Todd Bowley's about to spend about 600 million or something.
That's what's in my head. But my point is that we weren't able to convert to a different formation at all last season when we needed to, or the lads just didn't get the understanding of it. So this is why I think, So I thought, look, this is the reason why, my reasoning behind why I think he's going for these type of midfielders. I know we need midfielders, but I still think he wants to utilize the ones that are there already. And we're going to be bleeding Henderson out, and we're going to be bleeding Thiago out. But I think Fabinho still has a go within the squad there. I think Curtis Jones is going to be played in some aspects of substitution roles. Whether or not he trusts him enough only for a few games playing well, I don't think so, because the last couple of games of the season he didn't play too well. But he did before that.
We love Henderson. Like there's going to have to be some serious internal discussions with Henderson from Klopp, because all of us watched this season and we were banging our heads against the bloody wall. In all honesty, like, what he is doing, boys, like every single individual on that team, apart from Ali and Salah, in terms of even Salah in certain moments, but. Yeah, like, it's just like you're seeing players and you're like, I think the realization for Klopp, and hence why I think we're doing a lot of the work already, because we don't want to be leaving any stone unturned in reality. But we'll be moving on into the next section of the show as well, everyone. So if you are just tuning in now, you can just rewind and obviously watch what we've done anyway. But let's get to Munsif's comment. I reckon we go back to the 4-3-3 again. Now we have legs in again. Potentially, mate, as the lads have already alluded to, adaptability is the new key way going to next.
It's good to have a plan B, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah. All of us have said it, mate, isn't it? That we need that.
With 5 substitutions, you want to be able to change 2 formations extra into a team easily.
Definitely.
Yeah,
and especially we want to be as well, Luke, as Kev said there, with the substitutions, you want to be out showing that.
He just put in the private chat. He's going to come back.
Oh yeah, no, what he's last week is also. It's important in terms of keeping that intensity, because I think that's the big word that's been associated with Jurgen Klopp since he's since he's managed Mainz and Dortmund as well. Liverpool lacked so much intensity, in all honesty, last season, but that's going to be a key point in it. If we can keep that intensity and first and foremost keep that quality on the pitch as well, if you're replacing it with that given quality, it makes life so much easier. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Luke.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know who you were asking.
Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, no, go ahead, mate. I mean, it does. I mean,
have you got nothing to add? Right, you're getting in a bit sausage, lad. There we go.
Literally, I was just literally in agreement with you.
I was sitting there nodding away as well. Is this a question?
There we go. Right, Nigel, are we back?
Do you want me to add something now?
If you want that. Right,
I
Nigel,
agree,
is your audio back?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, carry on there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate.
Oh yeah, so you can disagree if you want. You know, look, I say it's rubbish, lad. It's rubbish. We risk Canate, 100% there. Monsif, definitely, mate. We risk Canate getting injured if he has to cover Trent, and that's ideally in a long-term scenario, mate. We get adequate quality. Ideally, Gomez is that player in the squad, as we've already discussed, but I don't even think Jurgen Klopp can very much trust him off the back of last season. That game against Southampton, I think, was the final nail in the coffin for Joey. In all honesty, fair enough. If that game, Kev, had something riding on it, could you imagine that game cost us top 4?
Yeah, that would have been nuts.
That would have been.
I think Klopp is taking the Ryan White set. So I think he's not going to have Trent playing in the midfield as much as he did this season with the inverted. He will play there when we're on the attack, but I think he's hoping that the players that he brings in are going to pin the team back so much that only long balls are going to get him out of trouble like a few years back. And if that's the case, Trent is going to be up in the midfield all the time, because that's where he's going to be picking up the ball. That's where he's going to be receiving it. And, as they try to push out onto us, he's going to be playing sublime passes into anybody, and McAllister and Cole are going to be popping up at the edge of the box again. But he needs these players that are going to step up, and these guys press. The players that are coming in press. If Thuram is true, he presses, Conan presses, McAllister presses. They're very good pressers of the ball. And if that's the case, then we're going to be pushing up on players, and Trent is always going to be on that midfield line anyway. And that's what he wants him back. The problem with us is that we were playing weird high lines that weren't high lines, which was never on the halfway line. We were just past it, but we never went back when they attacked.
Yeah.
So they knew that we went back late, and that's the problem. It was just late arrivals back, and balls over the top were just killing us, or balls through the middle were killing us for late runners. What's that? Nice.
We were playing 4-2-4, and we were late in midfield.
Yeah, destroyed. Yeah.
Getting absolutely decimated, weren't we, mate? Yeah. If Elliott's going to stick around, we need to start being back up to Mo. I've said this a couple of weeks ago, but I've had the agree, mate. I think long term, Elliott, for what we want, he's not got at the minute. He's still a young lad. If he can beef up, or if he becomes a lot more spatially aware and positionally aware, Elliott. But we've already seen. You're nodding your head. You're agreeing there, Luke, aren't you?
So it's injuries. That's the injuries' fault. That's the only reason that Elliott had to play there last season is injuries' fault.
Oh yeah. It's old news that Nigel haven't watched the videos.
Just said, so they pop it up there just for 3-5-2, just as a way of going back to that other system again.
Yeah, never set formation. Pep defends in a 4-4-2 and attacks in a 3-2-5. We do similar 100% there, mate. Nigel is asking the most important question. No, I've had too many Chinese, mate, as you can tell, Nigel. Definitely.
It's Thursday, though, isn't it?
Yeah, don't really. Best Friday night. Saturday night, yeah, you're just chilling, back from work or whatnot. Yeah, there we go.
Friday night, cold bevy as well. Happy days.
Yeah, I'd agree, Jack, about Gomez until injuries take 2 years. So.
Do you know what? I think with the Gomez situation, he's talking about the Southampton game. I mean, the injuries, as Monsif said, and I agree with the comment about his patella tendon, that is one of the worst injuries that you can recover from. And yeah, I mean, it's not just the fact of he's come back and he's lost a couple of yards of space or a couple of yards of pace, or he's lost that. It's just the fact of he's not even doing the basics right. The third goal we conceded, I can't remember who scored this. It was a Southampton player who scored his second goal, and he picked the ball off on the halfway line. And even though, as Nigel said, we were light in midfield, I agree. He was able to run, I think, 30 to 35 yards towards our goal.
That's the one that Bobby lost, was it?
And the worst thing about it with Gomez, apart from allowing him to run that amount of space in towards our goal, he was running back. He was running away from the ball. It was like his back was facing the ball, and it's like, you're a central defender. For me, if there's nothing in front of you and you're 40 to 45 yards away from your goal, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, my centre half is near me, so they've got enough room that they can come back and cover if I do dive in for a tackle. I think that would have been perfect in that sense with Gomez. I think just using the common sense approach. I just think he's just lost that in his game recently with the injuries as well.
The Real Madrid home game, lads.
I
felt for him.
That was the one
in that game.
Yeah, it was.
I felt for him, and do you know what? I think
tough goal.
I think the first goal that he passed back to Allister, I think that was a sort of both were at fault for that. Because Allister sort of changed his mind and then went for the long kick, and obviously he got caught out. But I felt for him.
That comes to doubt, though, that Gomez has given Ali over the last couple of seasons, don't mate?
I mean, go on.
I was going to say, if Gomez hadn't been making these mistakes over the last couple of years, don't be wrong, and we've seen in that game, both goalkeepers, the two best goalkeepers in the whole of Europe for me, Ali and Courtois in that game, they are human. But if that, to that point, mate, he's spot on. Luke, he doesn't help himself, though, in certain situations. What was the game where Gomez was twerking at the back post? Was it the Brighton game where he got absolutely dropped by Mitoma? Yeah, and you got Gomez twerking at the back post.
I mean, but I think I just came back to the Real Madrid game. I think even though he made the mistakes, I felt for him because I sort of looked at Klopp and I think we all did in the second half, and it's like, Klopp, get him off. Literally, we're trying to do it for the welfare of the player now. It's not even a fact of he's having a poor game. We know he's having a poor game. Get him off. And that's why I was so frustrated with Klopp that night. It was like, all right, we've been battered 5-2, and they're obviously Real Madrid just tore us apart. But do the right thing, just take him off. Like, I'd rather lose like 4-2 or 3-2 maybe, and like be a bit more defensively secured with someone like Matip, who might be a bit better off in those situations. But
he's a bit too friendly with Trent next to him, isn't he? He doesn't tell Trent off. He doesn't tell Trent to come in or anything like that. I think he just asks him and then doesn't demand it. Whereas if it's Van Dijk, he demands it. If it's Matip, he demands it. If it's Kanate, he's like, come here, or what, you can see him doing that to Trent, or they say it. But Gomez is just like, you know, you can always see him kind of going like that, always with the hand behind. And he just like suggests to him, but then Trent never follows it. And that's where you see Trent then stepping in too close to him and then getting caught with like over the top balls.
That's the thing. No, Kevin, obviously we'll probably go back to Trent, Gomez, and that will definitely do a show and definitely dedicate tonight. Not on slating Gomez, just trying to get the best out of him. And there's the lads have already said they're amazing, Kev. Like we spoke, as all of us, Klopp is probably one of the best man managers. And you never know, he could be doing this for the D's, and everything Klopp does in obviously we're not a fly in the wall. We don't not entail us to all these discussions, but if you're Gomez, you want him. Hence why we give him a new contract. I don't think Liverpool give him that contract. Of course, you've got to protect his value, but in terms of long-term vision for the football club, I think once Van Dijk retires, hopefully at Liverpool in the next couple of years, Gomez probably will be about the back end of his late 20s. Yeah. So you'd think and you'd anticipate and hope, first and foremost, that Gomez will be playing his best football. But we'll swiftly move on anyway. We've got quite a lot still to cover anyway. Nigel, we'll get on to that maybe at the back end of the show. We've got a couple of final talking points. But yeah, definitely, mate. Do you think we will sell? I think Monsif, potentially we will. Mate, for me, I think we've already more or less covered that, mate. But I think potentially, yeah.
I think Gvardiol was too expensive, though, isn't he?
Gvardiol, yeah. I'd love him. You never know. Yeah. But if you want Carvalho, as we've already said in our podcast, that's coming out this week, as well as discussed. Cheeky little 20% deal off Gvardiol. You never know.
So we just saved 35 million on what we thought we were going to pay for McAllister. Yeah. I mean, but he's around 60-70 million pounds, I thought. You know, to be honest with you, I mean that's an average for an English player. That's awful. You know, if Mason Mount is not even kicked barely a football.
Mason Mount's got a year left on his deal when they're looking at 70 million.
Yeah, McAllister on the market is like a 60-70 million pound player. Yeah. Easy. Like
35 million, we get these deals over the line. But no matter what they're worth, it doesn't make a difference. It just matters what their last contract is. That's what I say. So we can say they're worth 100. Yeah, you can say they're 120 million all day long, all they want. But if they've gotten their contract, and if a team comes in from top 4 or top 6,
what would happen? Spoiler. What would happen if Declan Rice was still Irish?
What do you mean?
Would he be worth 120 million?
He would not. And he's not worth 120 million now either. So even at that, so there's something in his contract that says that he can go for a certain amount. There's no way West Ham have no clauses built into their contract. No. Liverpool have a policy the last 7 years not to write clauses into their contracts. But
they just confirmed, didn't they? West Ham is going today.
Did they? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go. What's it called? Sullivan came out today this morning and he turned around and said they're selling him. Yeah. But obviously they're just looking at the right price. I reckon it is the English tax. Obviously last night, I mean, I think they announced him as the Conference League player of the tournament as well. So like straight away, that's going to add value to his resume. But I think he goes for about 80 to 85 million. I think I'd love him at Liverpool. I really would take Declan Rice.
Oh yeah,
but it's just the price of it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, big up there, Badger. Yeah. Happy days. You're the happiest man alive, knowing that he's going to Manchester United. Hope you're well, matey. Thank you for tuning in. 50, yeah, Brian, crazy. Mac is worth more, 100%, mate. Rice would be Guinness. Yeah, love a cheeky Guinness. But we'll quickly go on to this one, Nigel. I want to get all your thoughts as well, quite looking at this one, and I know I keep on going on about it, but I'd love him at Liverpool. Say though, cost a lot of money, north of 70 to 100 million, but I think he's more or less alleviates very much what we've all discussed here tonight in terms of when you look. We'll quickly share that screen again, but in terms of that right hand side role, he's exactly what he would fit that model of player. Really,
he's perfect for Trent.
Yeah, like in front of him, especially if you had a DM as well, or like you could even play him there, Saicedo or whatnot. But what would you say there, Kev? For me,
even later on there in the season when Brighton was stuck for people at the right hand side, he played on that right, like more of a right wing back. And I think if you have him next to Trent, Trent is not too worried. Trent can go where he likes then. As I said, will sit back. He won't drift too far forward. And he will sit back and cover at the same time. So he's your ideal Henderson replacement, really. That'll be a kind of a workhorse, but not try and get involved too much with the attack and play. He'll create the space for others more than do it himself. Now he can drift to the edge of a box, but he does tend to lay it off, and that's what you kind of want out of a player. Unselfishness, but also a willingness to work for the team. And he fits that right hand side perfectly because he's not your central defensive midfielder. He's more of your orthodox central midfielder.
Yeah, I only say that, Kev, as well.
Yeah.
Look at the two players on the list screaming out at us all.
Yeah.
It's Thiago Alcantara is on that list in terms of comparisons of the stylistic point of view, as I say, though, and Fabinho in that number 8. Like, for me, Nigel, what would you say on this, mate? Like, they're all having a look at the data, surely. Obviously, the price range is going to be a difficult issue. But if the opportunities... Yeah, like, in all honesty, for me, mate, like, it's screaming, you're right, in the face. We've mentioned Declan Rice, but on that list, I think he's probably one of the youngest as well. And as I say, don't compare to all those
21
players.
Yeah.
So for me, yes, it cost a lot, but you're looking at the age of what, 21? You're getting a player 21. For 10 years.
21.
Like,
he's the next Kante. That's simple. Yeah.
And I compare this as well when you look at the graph as well. I looked at Tchouaméni in relation to, you look obviously Saicedo 06 in terms of a similar type of player. We look at we look at the Tchouaméni deal. We didn't get him through the door, did we, Nigel?
No, we didn't, unfortunately. Now look, if we look at what we were missing, the time we lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid, when Karius made the mistakes, right? We were missing the goalkeeper, but the other glaring position was holding midfield player.
Yeah.
Like, I said this before, I was at Alisson and Fabinho's debut in Dublin when Liverpool played Napoli. James Milner got a head clash and he came on after about 10 minutes. And you could see it. Miles and miles and miles away, you could see it. I was with my friend Chris, who's on Twitter, and my dad, and I said to the two of them, after about 2 minutes, we're going to win something with this guy. He's absolutely unbelievable. That's the position we need again. We need to fill these positions again. Like, we did it with Alisson, we did it with Virgil, and then we did it with Fab. And I just think, yeah, exactly. We need that position again.
I think the Tchouaméni one was different though, wasn't it? Because I think Liverpool really showed interest with him. But I think the thing was, like, obviously when Real Madrid came in and Tchouaméni made it obvious. He came around and said, I want to go to Real Madrid. And it's like, Liverpool, there's not really much that we can do. But then obviously you had the social media outlets going, oh, Liverpool don't spend money. Like, he came out and said he doesn't want to go there. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, what would you add to that, Luke, as well? Especially if we got tamed down by Jude. Like, if the money was there anyway, you do wonder if he didn't reject that, if Liverpool would go out and spend all this money. Probably, we wouldn't. But carry on.
I would have him. Like, I definitely think Tchouaméni is definitely something that Liverpool could add.
No, I don't mean like getting him, but I mean in terms of profile, like in terms of whether Liverpool really, do you think they're still in the market for a long-term Fabinho replacement?
At the moment, I don't think so. I think maybe they might hang on for another year. I think they're looking at potentially Bajcetic as well. I do think Liverpool do look at the market only if they're at a desperate need, which they're doing now. But I mean, last season, obviously, like we were looking at Tchouaméni, and obviously throughout the season, Bajcetic has come through and obviously done pretty well. I don't know whether Liverpool are going to really show an interest again in him. I know there's been reports about Gravenberch as well. I would like someone like a Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool. Very powerful, good in possession, very calm. obviously good, obviously overturning possession as well. I think the Caicedo one is another one where
the cherry on the top.
Yeah, again, I mean, you look at his age; he's 21. Like, it's frightening. I mean, he could have 10 years at Liverpool and be one of our great players. But I don't know if Brighton are going to let two of them go to the same club. And yeah, he's going to definitely cost double the fee for what they paid for McAllister. But no, I generally think right now, I think the priority obviously is the midfield, like sort of the eights and maybe
2 8s.
Yeah, 2 8s, potentially a 6. But I think as long as we get the replacements in for that area, I think we need cover for Trent, or maybe another centre half. I think the attacking areas, I think we're okay. But if Liverpool are looking at maybe one additional player, then Shuameni could be available potentially, maybe on a loan. I think could be a better option if Real Madrid.
Long term, he's not been even getting a game for Real Madrid.
Yeah, and I think that's where I don't know if Real Madrid will want to sell him. I think like they may let him. It surprises me that some of these like higher foreign clubs I don't think they'd mind some players going out on loan for a season and then coming back and see what they could do. So whether they do that for Liverpool is another thing, but.
Well, they'll do it this season if we're in the Europa League. They wouldn't do it if we were in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I think they might. There is a possibility with that. I'd have him, but I just don't know. I don't think Liverpool.
Even sending Carvalho the other way, if he's never going to work out at Liverpool, you might as well make your money back off a percentage on him.
Yeah. You know, we definitely get the feels in the next 12 months, especially if they're doing another. If you haven't seen it, chat. Real Madrid are doing another Galacticos. I think give it another 12 months, I think he will put a massive bid in for it. Either it's going to be Haaland or it's going to be Mbappe. Doesn't they get one of them? They will move heaven and earth for one of them. And if you can definitely sell. Obviously, you can get big money for Valverde, big money for Tchouaméni. His market value is not going to very much depreciate.
Camavinga.
Yeah.
Do you reckon they get? Yeah. Do you reckon they get Harry Kane?
Yes. What are we saying? Like, I'd say I'd love Harry Kane to go to Real Madrid because I think he'd thrive massively. Like, there's no way Real Madrid don't go into a Champions League campaign or a La Liga campaign without a registered number 9, out and out number 9. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I think if they go for Harry Kane, the short sales alone pays for his money and his wages. Yeah, that's how big the club is that sells around the world. You put Harry Kane in there, everybody's buying that shirt. That's bad. That's his fee paid.
And not being funny as well, like you're going to have, Jude Bellingham there as well, and then there's going to be potentially some more players that are coming in. I think Harry Kane will be very comfortable to play alongside. So, if I'm Harry Kane, I mean, I know you've got a year left on his deal, and he's done the photo shoot today, which means nothing. If he stays at Tottenham, it's just wasted for me. Individual accolades, yeah, golden boots and whatever else, fantastic. But I mean, like you're looking at West Ham players like Antonio that's won a Conference League and Kane's won nothing. Like at the end of the day, we look at players on their successes with trophies mainly. Kane hasn't won anything, and if he turns down Real Madrid to stay at Tottenham,
he might win the Conference League next year, though, wouldn't he?
They are the biggest team in world football. There's no way you can turn down.
They're not in the Conference League next year. They didn't qualify. No, Villa took it.
Yeah, Aston Villa got.
Oh, did they?
Tottenham have got.
I thought it was 2 spots. Oh yeah. He's gone. He's gone. He's long gone.
I think even if he signs another 3-year deal at Spurs with more money, he's stupid.
Oh, Nigel, where do you reckon he'll? Chat, let us know where do you reckon Harry Kane will end up.
Yeah, but Harry Kane seems to love kind of. Oh, well done, Harry. Here's a pat on the head. Harry won't get that at Real Madrid. He'll get plenty of goals, all right, but he won't get the individual attention. That's the one thing I would say. He's I'd say he's running at Spurs. He's not even running the dressing room. I'd say he's running the club at this stage. He's got Levy there off the field, and he's running everything kind of behind the scenes. I saw a headline today saying, have Spurs finally got it right with Postecoglou? No, they haven't.
He was our 5th choice, wasn't he?
Until the dressing room politics is sorted at that club, they've got nothing right. And then you've got to sort out Levy.
Oh, he's the biggest. I can't say it. There's a classic Eddie Haynes saying I want to say, but I can't say it anyway.
I don't want you to talk
But
about.
Yeah, tell he's got upstairs. You don't Gary. But yeah, no, you had to agree there, Nigel. It will be time will tell. I think it's another, especially, but you never know. Could you imagine if he's actual half decent manager? I've not really seen much of Celtic, nor do really want to.
Could you imagine Harry Kane trying to speak Spanish?
Barely talk English.
It's bad enough me. Yeah, it's bad enough me trying to read out French players' names anyway. So I'm just saying.
People like Sylvester and the tweeting in Sylvester cartoons. The people in front of them will be soaked.
The one thing you say about Postecoglou is that there's not many Australian managers that get the break in over in
I'll
this
tell you what,
neck of the woods.
Has there been many, Kev? Or
Nah, there's only been a handful, but at the same time, they attacked in football that Celtic player was very appealing in the last couple of years. They didn't really miss.
What's that, Australian like players in the Prem as well? Like,
Harry Kewell and stuff like that.
Harry Kewell, Tim Cahill.
Yeah, you've had
Australian managers. I don't think you've had any.
You've had
Craig Johnson.
Bosnich was one. Craig Johnson was one. Yeah.
What's his name?
Kevin Muscat.
Schwarzer, the goalkeeper.
Schwarzer, yeah.
Kevin Muscat. Pure dirt.
Sure.
Proper old school anyway, some of them.
Nicky Rizzo at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Going back now.
Going back to the 1905s there, I think. There we go. But chat, let us know. We'll quickly touch on, obviously, the Champions League final. We'll get the lads' thoughts on that. And obviously, chat, let us know. We'll have a little bit of Champions League talk. But the fact we'll leave that as a closing point, chat, as well. But we've already mentioned on Jude, haven't we? We won't mention MLS because we've already spoke about it. But we'll, Nigel, and then we'll go around the table as well, chat. Last talking point, really, Champions League football. It's going to be difficult. I can't foresee anything more than a 5-0 Manchester City win. I'll tell you what, if they don't win this Manchester City, I don't think they'll have a bigger chance. Obviously, they'll always be in the finals because of Manchester City, the amount of revenue that they have got, and the squad and the manager they've got. Mate, but Nigel, what are your thoughts going into this game on Saturday?
I think I'll watch Transformers.
Couldn't
be bothered.
Not the new one. No, bloody hell, that's shocking. But
nobody's going to care.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No, I don't care. I will watch something else. I definitely won't be watching it. No way.
Not even if Inter are 3-0 up in the first 20 minutes.
Nope.
Swiftly moving on from Nigel there, Kev. Short and sweet. Do you have any hope for Inter Milan going into this?
Man City, as good of a club as they are notorious battle jobs in finals or semi-finals. They've proved that the last time, even the thing you said there earlier, Jack, they're not going to have a better chance against a weaker side than Chelsea to win the Champions League, and Chelsea won 1-0. So as good as Man City can be, they're very beatable at the same time, because we've been saying it all season how poor the defence was. And, I think at one point they were playing 3 centre-backs in the team, was it? Along the line, same with Arsenal and same with Newcastle. But, they seem to do well in the league. But they were still getting wide open for goals. But look, if Haaland's on form, they could score a few. They haven't been playing their underlapping football in quite a while. I've seen glimpses of it the last game, but most of the time it's been long balls up to Haaland all season. They were getting lucky at how good he was. But look, if you can keep Haaland quiet and they can defend, because Italians can defend, we'll give them one thing, they can defend.
They are the masters of the
the masters
as well.
Of dog shit football. That's the only way I can say it. I mean, they will nick you, they will bite at you, they'll do whatever, and Inter Milan are a pedigree among
3 European trophies.
Yeah.
They are the experts. Like, they have got history as well. Like, regardless of being in front of them, but
they're more than capable of pulling out a victory in this. So I just don't say it's the end. If City score early, it'll be hard for Inter to get back into it. But if it gets to half time, 60 a minute, and City still don't score, they'll be really sweating. And then you'll see the nerves creeping, you'll see the mistakes happening. And that's what you see. If Inter score, first half, City will come at them. like like a barrel for the first 15 minutes of the second half. This is why these are the three scenarios I can see playing out. And if they don't score, then they might nick it and it'll go to penalties. But if City don't barrel over them, Inter have absolutely every chance. That sounds like the most Michael Owen thing I've ever said. But it's true. But if they don't barrel them, yeah.
Like, how do you feel they'll deal with the pressure though? Luke, obviously the pressure in the Premier League, it's very different, but it's like the equivalent of their R30-year wait for a league title. Like, we just couldn't get past the hoodoo. Like, of course, as I said, like this, and going into panels. And firstly, how do you think they'll deal with that pressure, first and foremost?
I think this season they've had. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, they've been favourites from day one to win the competition. This season in the Champions League, they've been a mile above everyone else in the competition. But obviously, the final was a different mindset. It's a different sort of pressure, as you said. But what I think Man City have had, it's a little bit of luck with the draw. I don't think it'd mattered too much. Is they've avoided a lot of they've avoided the English teams in this year's competition. One thing I have noticed with Manchester City, when they've played the English teams in Europe, they have struggled. Spurs, us, Chelsea, they have struggled over the years. I do think this final, I think the only extra pressure I think they have compared to when they played Chelsea was we knew with the Chelsea game that Chelsea that one night could turn up and cause an upset, and they did. I don't think it was a monumental upset, but we knew Chelsea were obviously there and around. This time round, Manchester City are heavy favourites, and it's the old cliche, saying it like it's literally. I'm not comparing them just before people want to clip it. I'm not comparing it. It is like, in my opinion, this Champions League final, the Man City versus Wigan. That's how I look at this final. Inter Milan are the minnows in this game that no one is giving them a chance at all to win this game. So that's the mindset I think Man City need to try and remember. Is they need to take these chances early. They need to make sure that they're on the front foot. They need to make sure that they, as I said, like get the couple of goals early doors to stop. If they go an hour in and it's still 0-0, and Inter Milan will gain so much more confidence going into the second half. It's going one or two ways for me. It's either a 5-0 win and me and Spider are going on FCT in the space of 20 minutes, yeah. Or I think Inter Milan just do the Italian style, defend, see it out, slow the game down, frustrate. You see Fiorentina last night, the first 2 minutes, you had players rolling around on the floor, you had them holding their faces. Inter Milan will do that. They will frustrate the life out of Manchester City. And the last thing is, as we all know with Pep, he overthinks it a lot as well in these big high-profile games. He did it a couple of years ago. Was it when they played Chelsea? I see a stat. I think it was Rodri and Fernandinho who played as the DMs throughout the whole season. I think they played like 54, 55 games throughout the whole season. And the one time not one DM was played was the Champions League final. And that's what let them down. So if Pep overthinks it a lot, then it could cause him a bit of a problem. But
I think it's funny. I think it's funny similar to the AC Milan Liverpool final more than anything else, because I just thought like Liverpool had not a great team, but a fairly above average good team. That same as similar to Milan in the league, but just weren't doing too well in the league and weren't winning titles and all of that. And then ended up getting all the way to a final and just taking on probably the best team that was around for the 3 or 4 year period at that team. So I think it's very similar to what's there, but I don't think it'll be that kind of final, but I do think that they're capable of winning it and nicking it. So we'll see.
Yeah, like if anyone, I mean, I do know Manchester City are definitely favourites, and I expect them to win. I think that's the thing as well. I think everyone on Twitter and around the football world, it's like we don't want Manchester City to win because we want them to suffer for another year at least without a Champions League or European Cup.
They'll eventually win it, though.
But I think we definitely have to just sit back and go, look, they're gonna win it, and I think they do win it on Saturday. But as Spider says, Inter Milan are proven in Europe. They are a good side, and we cannot underestimate them on the day.
So you never know. Football is a very, very funny game, as we all know. Especially if you ask Maldini. I think Maldini was doing an interview with Carragher a couple of months ago on the CBS, and even he was like, I don't know how, because I think Carragher said, and Maldini said all the players, quite rightfully so, left all the medals, left all the shirts and everything. I'm pretty sure Carragher said to Maldini a couple of weeks ago, yeah, I took his shirt. like back home, even though it's mad. Like that's how Andy got the revenge in 07, as we remember, and they were a better team in Liverpool were a better team in 07, as we remember. But that's football, as we know. That's why we love it. We hate it at times as well, but you never know. Cheeky little deflection goal for Inter. Things can all change. But we're at for all these last comments as well. But yeah, obviously, as obviously Nigel just said to me there, best of luck. So obviously to Wiggs. I was just reading through all the comments. Your best man, Nigel, is Wiggs' best man on Saturday. So yeah, so happy days. Look after yourself, mate, and have a lovely time. And obviously, congratulations for the groom as well. And hope you have a lovely time, mate.
Just sorry to interrupt. Wiggs, what team does he support?
Liverpool, of course.
Could you imagine if Liverpool got to the Champions League final?
I'd be moving my wedding. I moved my wedding because Liverpool were playing that afternoon.
Yeah,
I did that. I actually did that.
I'm missing my wedding. Sorry for my future misses. But
I remember once I went to a wedding back in 2006. It was the same day as the FA Cup final, Liverpool West Ham, and I had a few of my family members are West Ham fans, and West Ham scored, and everyone's in the church, obviously waiting to see, and all I heard was this big, like, giant man was like cheering in the church. It was like, I just can't imagine, like, if you're a fan of a team and then you're in a massive cup final, like, what is the wife or what is the girl gonna say? Like,
yeah. Your partner will probably have a big say, won't they? But nah,
he'll probably let you go, to be honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But I bet you were buzzing though, Luke, when Gerrard whacked that in. Like West Ham fans still speak about that, don't they? Even me West Ham mates still like bloody Gerrard, like the one player on planet Earth that could only do that at that moment. Was Steven Gerrard, the master of that trade.
And at the same time, the one player you'd never think would do it was Paul Konchesky. Scored from that side of the pitch.
I couldn't believe it that day. Was it Dean Ashton scored as well, wasn't it? Was it Everton? I think Matthew Everton.
Ashton scored the second one.
Yeah, Ashton scored the second goal. Was it
Matthew Everton's own goal? Carragher own goal.
Carragher own goal. Then it was Ashton. Yeah. Then it was
Ashton, and then
we equalised. Cisse made it 2-1. Gerrard. Then
Gerrard,
it was Gerrard. Yeah.
My mate was in the toilet when Gerrard scored that goal, and we went mental, and he pissed on himself. He heard the roar outside, and he pissed on himself.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was going to say, Wicks, of course he's supposed to.
I've done that before, you know. Yeah, when you're sitting in the toilet, and you leave it behind you, you know. Yeah.
All good, lad. All good. Now it's been a great show as always. As I said, if you are new around here, make sure you head over, subscribe. Luke, obviously, just shout out your channel, please, mate, and obviously get Kev to shoot out his socials as well, mate. But a massive thank you for coming on. And massive thank you to everyone that is tuned in this evening, chat. Really appreciate for the support, as always. You'll be seeing a lot of these. Well, you'll be seeing these lads, three faces, and hopefully a lot more throughout the season. I'll be getting them on. I do love my solo shows, but I love not more than just getting the lads on, just speaking about football and Liverpool, really. But massive thank you, Luke. And just shoot out the socials, please, mate.
Yeah, so always a pleasure, Jack, to come on. 8092 Reds TV, guys. We've just passed 800. We're on the road now to 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, we're got lots of content coming up over the next few weeks. Pre-season, myself and Ricky are going to be doing a lot more content. Obviously, we do a lot of shorts as well. We have announced as well that we are also
having a baby. I thought you were
me and Ricky. Yeah, I mean, he is the baby. I think no, we also announced as well that throughout next season as well, because obviously where we're based in the sort of London areas, people can hear. We are going to be doing match previews potentially outside the stadiums as well. So we've got some equipment that we're looking to get, and obviously we're going to try and do some more match previews. So a lot more different content, hopefully throughout next season. But yeah, if you haven't, obviously come and subscribe over to the 892 Reds TV, and of course make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Anfield Road TV and all the other socials that Jack, Spider, and Nigel are on.
Yeah, get those subscribers up for the lads as well. Massive supporters, mate. Top lads. As I said, the beauty of doing YouTube, I never anticipate anyone tuning in. And I'd be more content if it was just two people watching, just chilling. As I said, do YouTube as a love it and passion, really. If it grows into something in the future, even greater anyway. But as I said, messed up with Luke plenty of times. We'll be seeing in the future as well. Getting in bevy, as I said, any viewers or subscribers are in Liverpool, just shoot us a message on socials. We'll get a bevy and be good made up to see you, because really do appreciate not just Luke's support, but every single one of your supports on everyone's channels for that matter as well. But Kev, obviously, massive thank you for joining me again, mate, as always. And for anyone, just shoot out your socials. Obviously, you're gaming. You're getting into that, really, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, well, I've been doing the gaming for a long while. Over an Irish Spider guy on Twitch. I've been doing that for quite a while. Also, I have Irish. If you do at Irish Spider Guy, you'll find my Spider channel on YouTube, and you'll also find it on Facebook as well. So when I stream on YouTube, I'm also streaming simultaneously on Facebook at any time. I can't do that with Twitch; it doesn't allow me. And obviously the football channels are Spider LFC on YouTube and Spider LFC on Facebook. You'll find them there.
Happy days, lad. Happy days. And big up chat as well. Russell's just tuned in, mate. Hope you had a good day, mate. Thank you for dropping in and saying hello. And yeah, it's been a great stream, lads. Yeah, it has been. Just chilled, relaxed, have a good laugh. That's what it's all about anyway. As I said, but big up there, Wiggs. Enjoy it. Wiggs, enjoy it. But you want to be hearing the stories next week anyway. Have a good time. I can't wait for them anyway. You'll have a good crack. I know you will. And but yeah, it's what it's all about. Big up, Dave's tuned in. I think Dave's been avoiding me. I've been dropping him the links for the shows for a couple of weeks ago, but hopefully only joking, mate.
What happens when the channel grows, Jack? They die, you know.
Dave's too big time to come on the channel now anyway, at least so. But Dave, hope you're well, mate. Good to see you in the matey. As I said, return of the Mac wearing number 10 on his back, definitely, mate. As I said, hopefully we'll be getting Dave on the channel very soon. The two, me and Dave, the classic days on the channel, but I know Dave's been very busy as well. So thank you very much for tuning in, mate, as always. There we go. Doesn't even deny it, Dave. Do we? There we go. He knows. But chat, enough of me rambling. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Massive thank you to Nigel as well, mate. Thank you for coming on. Nigel will be getting more. I'll be getting Nigel more on the channel, same with Luke and Kevin. If you want them to get involved, and even if you haven't got a lot of experience, new faces are always welcome as well on the panel. So, Reds, have a lovely rest of your night. It's nearly the weekend, so if you're going to work or college or uni or whatnot, smash it tomorrow. It's Friday, and you've got the weekend to look forward to as well, everyone. But Reds, for another night, we'll see you later. And as always, Reds, look after yourself. You'll never walk alone. And yeah, up the Reds.